Hello, Instagram, and hello, Facebook. We're going live for coffee and questions. Hello, the Jiu-Jitsu Dietitian. Welcome back. I'm trying to remember what question you asked me last week. You'll have to remind me. And how'd you go with that? All right, how's everyone going? Is everyone surviving? Hey, Carly. How's working from home going with those two fur kids of yours? Yeah, is everyone surviving? We're not in lockdown here in Brisbane yet, but I think it's coming soon. But I'm kind of in self-isolation anyway, so I'm ready. Trying to stay well. Hello, everyone. Queen of Cakes, welcome. Hey, Catherine, welcome. You've got half an hour before Alexander's haircut. Quick, ask all the questions you want. All right, so I'll wait for a few. Oh, the chocolate milk post question. Thank you, the Jiu-Jitsu Dietitian. Have you been drinking chocolate milk all week after that one? That was a good question. All right, so while we wait for a few more people to come on, I might kind of just give you a bit of an update about where things are at with Dietitian Approved. It's been a crazy week, I'm not going to lie. I definitely need my coffee today. There was not a lot of sleep had last night. The Jiu-Jitsu Dietitian just said that he or she sure has lots of chocolate milk, so that's good. And Carly also says that the dogs have the best life. They're pro sleepers. Yeah, I know, right? They sleep all day. You think that dogs are bored without you, but they spend all day sleeping and they just go crazy when you come home. All right, and Catherine said, Catherine's looking for a substitute for quinoa because apparently everyone's decided that they eat it at the moment. Hilarious. I actually thought I would be really pressed to get all our ingredients for cooking last weekend, but thankfully I was okay. You're a he. Cool. Thanks, the Jiu-Jitsu Dietitian. Thanks for clarifying. Yeah, went to the markets, which is still open, and I haven't heard that our sort of fresh food markets are closed tomorrow. It is like open air and quite sort of spacious, but I guess it's still a risk. But I haven't heard that they've kind of closed down fresh food markets, so that could be a good place to go if you're looking for fresh food. And somebody asked me a question if the cost was any more at the moment, but for me, the cost hasn't been any greater at the fresh food market. I don't tend to buy fresh food from Coles and Woolies. No offense, Coles and Woolies, but I find the quality is really shit. So I didn't say that out loud. I usually get my fresh fruit and veggies either from the market or I get them from the fruit and veg shop here locally, which is really good quality. So I haven't had any issues with that. And then in terms of supermarkets, I've only been once, and yes, they were chaos. Thankfully, I cooked a couple of risottos, Catherine, and I needed a Boreo rice, and that was the only rice left on the shelf. Turns out nobody knows what to do with a Boreo rice, so that was good. But quinoa replacement, you could just use brown rice or something. So in terms of portions, a half a cup of cooked quinoa is equivalent to a third of a cup of cooked rice. So if you've got brown rice, go brown rice. You could also just sub it out for any other carbohydrate served, depending on what you're doing. So it could be potato or sweet potato or something if you're throwing it through a salad. Or if it's anything else on the side of your plate, or you could add a piece of fruit or something. So we're just going to have to be a bit flexible with what we're doing with food and nutrition at the moment, I think. Catherine also said, I couldn't get corn flour. What are people even doing with it? Why have they decided they're just going to use it now? Look, honestly, I have no idea. People are retarded. The amount of stuff that is gone and the things that are gone, it just really interests me. So we buy mackerel for the dogs. They have canned like Woolies home brand mackerel. They love it. It's their favorite. And it's been sold out all week. Like my husband went and bought, I want to say maybe 6 cans the other day because it was finally back in stock. So the dogs have something to eat. Like what are people doing buying like shitty home brand mackerel? No idea. But that's okay. You guys do what you want to do. I'm just going to hang out over here in my self-isolation and eat fresh fruit and vegetables. So on that, this week I put out a list of kind of just things that I'm doing to stay sane and stay well through this period. And I don't think that many people saw it, so I might repost it again, but I thought I'd talk about it today because I think we all need to really stick together and help each other at the moment. And so I've got my list here in front of me and we're going to run through it quickly. And if you've got any questions, let me know. But I think, well, one thing that I didn't put on the list, actually it kind of is on the list, we'll get there. So number one for me is eating well. Okay, our immune system is really important right now, and your immunity comes a lot from your nutrition and your gut. Good morning, Jules. Welcome. So I think eating well right now is so key. So eating a whole heap of packaged stuff isn't going to be that great for your immune system. If we've got access to fresh fruit and vegetables and fresh meats and produce, then we should be preferencing that over packaged foods until we don't have the option to or don't have the choice. So that's why people are buying frozen berries, Catherine, because well, one, they're kind of out of season now, so they're expensive, but two, it's a good way to get some antioxidants and vitamins and minerals in if the fresh stuff kind of goes away. But I don't think there's going to be a problem with our supply chain here in Australia. Like the farmers aren't sort of blocked. And, you know, they're still producing produce and they've got to sell it. So I don't necessarily think that we'll have any, problem with supply. It might just be getting access to it in the supermarket as such. So number one for me is eating well. And I think everyone should be focusing on that. Like rather than just going, oh, whatever, and eating chocolate and like biscuits and stuff and nibbling on shit at home because you're at home working, then you really need to focus on eating properly. So if you are finding that you're going to the fridge all the time or nibbling on things that you wouldn't normally nibble on, then try and like pack yourself a work lunch like you potentially normally do, and pop that in the fridge at the start of the day so that you know that you've got planned snacks and planned meals, and you're not constantly procrastinating going and opening the fridge and seeing what's in there or the cupboard. So on the weekend, I did a massive big cook up to add to the recipe database, and part of that's to try and help you. So I want to try and have as many healthy recipes available as possible so you don't have to think about it, and you know that they're all dietitian approved. They're not just written by some random health blogger on the internet who is a bored housewife. Somebody decided to call me right in the middle of coffee and questions. What are they doing? You know, I've formulated them properly so they've got enough protein. We're trying to hit lots of fruit and veggie serves and fresh foods, and then they're not very complicated. Like I'm not a long love standing in the kitchen type chef. I actually don't really enjoy cooking that much. So everything that I make is like super quick, it's super healthy and delicious at the same time and ticks all the right boxes. So the recipe database is full of over 100 recipes like that. And throughout the week, we've been working really hard to get 10 more new ones up there. So it's $97 for the year, which I think is really cost effective. That's less than $1 a recipe. And if you knew how much time and effort and expense went into making them, then I think you'd be laughing at my face of how cheap it is. But now might be a good opportunity to actually focus on learning some new recipes that you can add to your repertoire, practice some things where you've got a bit more time and you're at home more. Because it doesn't seem like we have limitations with access to food at this point in Australia. Like, yeah, you may not be able to get quinoa, but you can easily sub. Catherine, what did you say? Does wine count as a fruit serve? No, it doesn't. Asking for a friend my ass, Catherine. Wine does not count as a fruit serve, sorry. And Carly thankfully said that the recipe database is definitely worth it. So thanks, Carly. We need you to put that all over the internet. So yeah, I'm not like, I think it's really cost effective. I think it's a good idea to do now, to start focusing on nutrition. So if you've got any questions on what's in there, like flick me a message. There's so many things that I think would be useful. And there's also some good batch cooking recipes in there too. So things like sancho bao, there's some good curries. There's my chicken and beef burger patties, which we've always got stocked in the freezer. We've got a batch of both at the moment. So if shit does hit the fan, we've got a good healthy protein source that's delicious, ready to go in the freezer. Plus a whole heap of other things. So like I made 2 or 3 lots of risotto on the weekend, and it turns out a Boreo rice is available in the shop. So that could be an easy one that you can use now as well. Catherine said she's making chicken burgers today. So good job, Catherine. We've got about 15 in our freezer, I think, just in case food goes out the window. All right, so that was number 1. Number 2 is trying to just move daily. Like, yes, we've got restrictions around gyms are closed and pools are shut, and, you know, maybe soon we won't be able to even go bike riding. But we've got walking, we've got running, we've got home workouts. So hello, Triathlon Queensland, welcome. So you just need to be making sure that you're still moving daily. You just need to shift your routine. Be thankful that you still have a body that works, and you're not sick, and try and move yourself every day. So that was number 2. Number 3, I think really key is having a routine. So as humans, we just thrive on routine, right? And at the moment, everyone's routine's thrown out the window, and we're all in the same boat. But you need to just try and adapt and pivot really quickly and build a new routine. So if it helps you to get a whiteboard and write out what you want to do as your new sort of goals or structure, or what your day looks like now, even if it's at home all day, then you still need to write out a bit of a schedule for yourself so that you can stick to it, because you'll feel better for it. It'll keep you mentally stimulated if you've got something to focus on and something to follow. Number 4, big one for me, it's really helped, is not reading crap on the internet. There is so much misinformation out there, and also just so much negativity and crap basically on the internet. So try and just steer clear of all of that. Like, try and follow people that are positive and keep you inspired and keep you happy, rather than reading all the doom and gloom type stuff and getting really bogged down in the details of things. So try and stop reading crap on the internet. Distance yourself from the social media side of stuff that doesn't make you happy, and do the things that do make you happy. All right, number 5 is getting enough sleep. So we talked about this last time, actually, about how much sleep you need. And everyone's a little bit different, but it's sort of 7 to 10 hours. Okay, so people that are getting 5 hours, you need to do a better job of getting some sleep. And now might be a good time to do it, because you may not have a work commute, so you're getting some time back in your day to sleep in. There's no sort of early morning gym sessions on at the moment. You could still get yourself up early and do some training, but there's plenty of opportunity to try and maximize your sleep at the moment. And when you don't get enough sleep, your immune system really is compromised. So making sure you really do focus on getting enough good quality sleep in every single night. So that wasn't me last night, so it'll be to bed early tonight and looking after myself today so that I don't get run down. Catherine said, oh, and sub for pearl couscous, it was all gone. So just use normal couscous if they've got normal couscous. I know, actually, do they have, I don't think they have Aldi where you are, but Aldi seems to have heaps of food. It's like people don't necessarily shop at Aldi, or they're doing a better job of restocking, but we went to Aldi last weekend for the cooking day, and they had everything that we needed. All right, so that was number 5. Get enough sleep. Nope, no Aldi. Sorry, Catherine. I don't know. Maybe just try normal couscous, or switch to brown rice. Or you could also do, if you're making tagine, which you might be, which is also in the recipe database, then just use more sweet potato or something. And Woolies and Coles suck. Yep, no comment. All right, so number 5 is sleep. Number 6 is help each other. So now more than ever, we need to stick together and not be assholes. Like, try and, do something to help somebody else out at a socially distant, location. But support your local cafe or restaurant who might be struggling. I know a whole heap of chefs that are without work at the moment. If your gym has gone online, purchase their online training program instead of your weekly membership. Try and buy gift vouchers for places and just support local businesses. We're all struggling. I've had 1 million clients cancel at the moment. So if your income is not affected, or you're not that bad, then really try and help people that might be. So think about all the PTs out there that just don't have work at the moment, or my massage therapist is got no work. So potentially buy a gift voucher to use when we can get out and about and do things again. Try and still support things rather than just pulling the pin on everything if you're not affected personally, or not affected too badly, because there's people out there that are way worse than you. So yeah, supporting local businesses, supporting local as much as you can, and trying to help the little guys rather than just feeding the big guys that are going to be fine through this. All right, and then number 7, This might be why the reach wasn't very good, because I swore a little bit, but I just said don't be a dick and actually social distance. It's probably why the reach didn't go very far. But, you know, if the government recommendations are actually do something, then please do it. The amount of people out and about at the moment is just crazy. So you might be okay, but think about all the other people that it might affect. So like the elderly, people, anyone over sort of 65, who like young people might be living at home with their parents who are at risk. So we just need to try and actually social distance, follow instructions to try and squash this thing so that we don't lose too many more people. So that was my list of 7 things to try and help you through this phase at the moment. And as I was writing them, I just thought it sounds exactly like the Healthy Lifestyle Challenge. So maybe if people are actually interested and have some headspace for it, maybe we do a big group start for the Healthy Lifestyle Challenge, which is ticking off some of those daily habits of good nutrition, sleep, exercise, drinking enough water, and staying well every day, just to help you through this period and focus on having some sort of rhythm and routine and something to drive you and get up for each day. So if that's something that people are interested in, give me a holler and we might look at doing that. All right, so there's a few questions that have come through Instagram. Let me have a scroll back at this. So, hello Joe, welcome. Okay, so the Jiu-Jitsu dietitian. For Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu hobbyists who train only 2 to 3 times a week, how much would you adjust their diet apart from just healthy eating? Are we talking about like now if their training's dropped, or overall like a diet for, you have to elaborate, sorry. I'm reading between the lines. Give me some more information and I'll help you. All right, Triathlon Queensland. Hello, guys. I found that gourmet markets or smaller places are fully stocked. I've got a pearl couscous salad I've been making for a while, and the smaller markets always have the proper ingredients. Good tip. I agree. Like my fruit shop's stocked. Our fish shop has got like pasta and pasta sauces and stuff like that as well. So there's always ways around it if you've got somewhere smaller. So definitely good tip, TQ. Thank you. Jiu-Jitsu dietitian, all those tips were great, especially for us Jiu-Jitsu guys whose gyms were mandatory closed, especially the routine piece. Yeah, definitely. So maybe write those things. I'll post them up again. I'll post them up again today in the Dietitian Approved Crew Facebook group. And maybe write them out on a whiteboard or put them on your mirror or somewhere just to try and focus on some of those things. All right. Do we have any other questions? Jiu-Jitsu dietitian, can you clarify what your question is for me and I'll answer it? I think that's it. I don't think I've missed any through there. Oh, I'm actually going to drink my coffee this time. Last time it went cold. All right, so that's kind of what I wanted to say about what's going on in the current times. Like I think we really need to stay positive and help each other rather than just get stressed and anxious about stuff that we can't change. So focus on the positives always, and use this opportunity to do something differently or do something that will help you in the long run. So yeah, the things that I'm working on really hard is the recipe database to help you with healthy recipes. The other thing I'm doing tomorrow is I'm going to try and launch my weekly menu planner service early. I wasn't kind of ready for it yet, but I think people kind of need it at the moment. So I'm going to try and get that started in the next week if I can. Need more coffee. And the other thing, I'm finishing filming a bit of a nutrition module course thing today. That doesn't sound very sexy, does it? Again, I'm going to try and maybe launch that early. I wasn't quite ready, but I think we might just go because I think it's a good time to focus on nutrition. Like we're at home more, we've got more time. Now is the #1 time to be focusing on good nutrition. So if I can do anything to help support you in that, let me know, because that's the plan, to try and get you to try and help you through this in any way possible. So the Jiu-Jitsu dietitian, what did you say? My gym partners always ask about diet. So if you're a dietitian, you should be able to help them. And yeah, you're just going to have to give me more information about like what the training sort of schedule is or what the question is, and I can definitely answer. But if we're talking about like just training for fun, then you potentially don't need to do too much different, just healthy eating. But it also depends around like weight making and weight management stuff too. So Carly said nearly 9 a.m. and I haven't even had a coffee yet. Carly, what are you doing? I have guiltily had a couple of coffees a day this week. It's not been a good week for me. Usually 1 coffee a day and I'm good. Don't need coffee for life, but just love the taste. But this week has just been a bit intense. So it's definitely been a 2 coffee day. So my goal next week is back to 1 coffee days. Oh, I answered your question. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Jiu-Jitsu Dietitian. You are a dietitian. Where are you based? I probably should click on your profile and do some stalking. And Catherine's gone quiet, so she must have gone to take Alexander to her haircut. And yes, she is making tagine. I missed that one. Good one. So if anyone gets stuck, give me a holler. I'm going to try and do everything I can to help you at this point. So if there's anything in particular you need, just tell me and I can do it. So a couple of things, just to reiterate, a couple of things. Recipe database, I'm working really hard on that. Weekly menu planning sort of service, I'm working hard on that. And then hoping to launch a bit of a Get Healthy project. I'm going to do the last bit of filming today. So as soon as I get that done as well. And then if you want to, we can do a group start for the Healthy Lifestyle Challenge if that's going to help people kind of stick together and have rhythm and routine and really focus on the key things that matter at the moment. Because one of the habits in the Healthy Lifestyle Challenge is a good deeds that actually might be perfect for right now in terms of helping each other. So when I wrote my list of 7 things that I'm doing right now to try and stay positive and stay happy and grounded, I just was like, this sounds like the challenge. This sounds like the challenge. This sounds like the challenge. So it really is like rules for life. So maybe that's something that we do at the moment. All right. You're out of Washington State in the US. What time is it there? Nighttime? Thanks for jumping on. And you said, the jiu-jitsu dietitian said, sorry, my sports nutrition side is a bit lacking, been a renal dietitian for several years now. Well, that's very different to sport. Very different. Carly said that she's trained this morning and should go out and support her local coffee shop after your live. Good job, Carly. Our coffee roastery, we make coffee at home, it is shutting its doors. So we bought 2 bags of beans yesterday to help those guys out and also help us survive through this period as well. Elsa from Panama, hello, welcome. This is so cool. How good is the world? Joe wants to know, we've talked about this, but am I right in dropping carbs by 1 to 2 serves for the day we don't train? Yes, depending on what your overall load is to start with. I couldn't tell you what your meal plan says, Joe, top of my head, but definitely if you've done your event on the weekend, how'd you go? Joe did her run on the weekend, even though her event was cancelled. I think it was a half marathon from memory. So yeah, if you're now in a rest period, you can certainly drop your carbs down by maybe 1 serve at meals. Joe said she died. Running is hard. It's okay, Joe. It's all good. So yeah, potentially 1, maybe 2, Joe. I'm not sure what you got to before when you're in your peak load, but it's certainly reasonable to drop it down by 1-ish. Just depends, yeah, where you're at. So Joe did a trail run and we took a wrong turn and ended up doing 28.7 kilometers instead of 21.1. Whoops. That's all right. Good training, Joe. And you can recover this week. Hello, everyone that's joining on Instagram. Instagram's going nuts this morning, but what's going on with Facebook? Jules, are you still there? I think it looks like Jules is the only one on Facebook with me. Dr. Kalina, good morning. Joe said she can finally walk again. What day is it? Friday. Yep. All right, guys. Now, I did have one question come through from Carmel. Oh, Jules is still there. Hello, Jules. You're very quiet over there by yourself. Turns out Instagram's where it's at this morning. So Carmel, one of my clients who I spoke to yesterday, has asked about sweat testing. And I unfortunately had to cancel sweat testing this weekend. Carmel is in Facebook. Well done, Carmel. I'm just about to answer your question. Carmel's not a social media user, and I've been pushing her to pop her questions into the Instagram stories for me, which we're working on it still, but we're getting there. But good to see you here, Carmel. And then Jules has said, I'm not sure I should ask questions. I feel bad about missing test. Oh, yesterday. Yeah, Jules, you should feel bad. It's okay. Okay, so Carmel wants to know about sweat testing. So how can sweat results be used? So when I do sweat testing, what we're doing is calculating what your sweat rate is, so how much you sweat per hour, and then also your sweat sodium and other electrolyte concentrations sort of per litre we work out. So it can be used for endurance events. So say, Carmel, if we did it for you on the bike, then it's helping to sort of plan out what your nutrition is for something like the orange challenge, which was a 170k ride with like 2 point something kilometers of elevation. So it just helps you know how much to drink and sort of what sort of sodium replacement we're looking at through an event like that. It's particularly good for running as well, because your tolerance for drinking and replacing sweat losses while running is far reduced. So it's having a sense for what your sweat rate is so that you know how much to drink during, to make sure dehydration doesn't get to sort of 2% of body weight. And that's assuming that you turn up to the start line well hydrated as well and not already dehydrated. So she's asked, isn't it affected by intensity and weather? And the answer is yes to both of those. So as the intensity goes up, generally sweat rate goes up to try and cool yourself evaporatively. And then definitely weather. So in the hotter environments and more humid environments, we're going to sweat more than the cooler, colder environments where we sweat less. So she wants to know, how often would you have it done? So when I do it with my elite guys, we do it quite frequently. We do it for all the hot races and see how they did in races, and that helps to adapt. I don't know if you've ever seen me out like a Mooloolaba Tri or Rabina, often doing sweat testing with the elite triathletes. We did it for Wollongong one year for that big, I think it was a World Cup potentially, can't remember, it was too many years ago. So doing it quite frequently with those guys, because it helps them to adapt their race nutrition plan and make sure that they're not fatiguing and suffering the effects of dehydration towards the back end of, say, like Olympic distance racing. It's much more important than sprint distance racing. So in the ideal world, Carmel, you'd be doing it a few times a year at least. So doing it in a cold environment and doing it in a really hot environment, and then somewhere in between as well. So heading into Tokyo, we're doing a lot of like heat adaptation, sweat testing, those sorts of things to figure out what's going to be the best strategy for Tokyo, even though it's been postponed. Hello everyone on Insta. Welcome. So I think it's important for even just everyday athletes to have an understanding of what your sweat rate is in a cooler environment versus a hot environment, and then having the ability to adapt to that as well. And then the other question Carmel asked is the sweat concentration as well. Is that affected by diet? And 100% it's affected by diet. So we know that even just 3 days of high sodium intake is enough to affect your sweat sodium concentration. So if you eat a really salty diet, then you're more likely to sweat more salt, as a general guide. Whereas somebody that doesn't eat too much salt is probably not likely to sweat as much. So you can adapt how much you sweat based on your diet, and in as little as 3 days you can change that. And then how does it change over time? So good question. I actually don't know the answer to that one, Carmel. So she's kind of, I'm wondering if you get older it changes. And yeah, I actually don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I'd have to look that up. There may be a new paper on that Alan McCubbin's doing with some of the work he's doing, but I'll have a look into it. I'm not 100% sure. Good question. So does that all answer all your questions, Carmel? If you're still there on Facebook? Funny that you're asking me about sweat testing and I just had to cancel it. That was like the saddest thing I've done this week, is having to postpone sweat testing. We're meant to be doing it tomorrow afternoon. It's beautiful weather here in Brisbane. It's a perfect opportunity to do it. And you can socially distance sweat testing, but it's still a risk, I guess. And I don't want to be like a little epicenter for spreading COVID. I don't want it to come from dietitian approved sweat testing. So I've just decided to postpone it and be safe. All right, guys, is there any other questions? How's everyone going and how's everyone coping? Does anyone need any like extra help that we can help you with? Coffee is done. No more questions. Gone quiet. Carmel says she'll get sweat testing done when you're allowed to go to Brisbane. Yeah, so the New South Wales Queensland border's closed currently. So yep, you can't come up here for a while, I don't think. But I'm postponing the session, Carmel. So I can't give you a date when it'll run again. But likely probably towards the end of the year, when it's similar sort of temperature and humidity to now. So sort of September-ish potentially. Like, don't hold me to that, but definitely end of the year once this chaos is over. And then Carmel, you need to decide if you're going to do it on the bike or running or both, because the other thing is your sweat rate is different on the bike versus running. So for Ironman athletes, I tend to do sweat testing on the bike just because the bike sets you up for the run. And if you're already on the back foot by the time you get off the bike, then you're screwed. Not screwed, but the athletes that have the most success with Ironman are the ones that get onto the run minimally affected by the first two legs. So you do a bit of cooling in the swim generally, and then the idea is to not do too much damage on the bike so you can run a marathon feeling as fresh and hydrated as you can. So yeah, you'll have to come and join us, Carmel. Come up to Bris Vegas for some sweat testing. All right, guys, so everyone seems to be okay. No further questions. I might get stuck into filming the last couple of modules of my course. I'm ready. I've had my coffee. So we'll see you guys next Friday. I think we may all be in isolation here in Brisbane by then. We'll see. So maybe there'll be heaps of people online because everyone's sick of working from home already. But I will post up that list of things that we're kind of focusing on here at DAHQ for everyone. If anyone wants to do the challenge, if there's any interest in doing that, if you've got some brain space for it, let me know, and we might do a bit of a group start and get that going as just a bit of distraction. And then yeah, get stuck into the recipe database. It's an amazing resource of like healthy dietitian approved recipes that's going to help your immune system right now. So I'll pop the link in here for you as well if you want to get access to that. Thanks, Jules. Thanks for joining. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon. And yeah, thanks everyone. I'll see you next week. Bye.